think there's two things that I think the Web3 space needs. The first and foremost is more diversity, more diverse opinions, diverse backgrounds, diverse genders, ethnicities, nationalities.
Hi everyone, and welcome yet to another exciting episode of NewForum. And we're always happy to bring you awesome creators, founders, visionaries, developers on our podcast. NewForum is powered by NewCoin Foundation, and it's our aim to spark informative, educative, and human-centered conversations on the topics of crypto, NFTs, DAOs, DeFi, and the metaverse in order to ensure the conscious and ethical growth of a new web, embedding the values of care, freedom, and creativity. And on today's episode, I'm super excited to have with me Sam Stevens, who's working on lead product at one of YouTube's creator economy focus areas, as well as leads the product team at Boys Club DAO. She's also leading a Google Learning Cohort to help women teach about Web3. And I'm super excited to talk with Sam about how DAOs will shape the future of work, the challenges and learnings from building Web3 communities. Hey, Sam, I'm super happy to have you with me today.
I am super happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So Sam, you have such a rich and interesting background, working for so many companies. And I'm wondering what made you excited about stepping into the Web3 space and DAOs in particular?
Absolutely. So I first learned, I'm late to the game of the crypto Web3 world. I first learned what Web3 was about a year ago through my role at YouTube, where an incredible human being, Legion, came and gave a talk to my team about the ownership economy and the future of the creator economy. And it blew my mind. That was the first time I'd ever heard those phrases, honestly, stepping into this role. And it really opened up my mind to what new economic models could exist on the internet for creators and for organizations as well. So I was super excited to dive in and learn more about the space. And the whole ethos of Web3 around ownership, portability, and composability just really shifts the entire way that we think about the internet and tech companies, which I've been a part of for most of my career, really reshapes that and really gives us an opportunity to rethink how we're aligning incentives between the folks who are creating and providing the most value on the internet and being able to facilitate those direct relationships with their fans, or consumers of content. And so I'm really excited to be thinking about and working in a space where we're really focused on exploring how a new wave of internet technologies and communities might work.
Yeah, I think, I still remember the early days of YouTube, and it's so amazing to witness how far we, go as like humans with bringing content and, telling stories and all of these things. And and I think it's super, like you said, necessary and important to just think about like ways we can support creators and their creativity and the ownership that they can have with their content. And so DAOs, I want to know, like, what made you excited about DAOs? Why do you think DAOs will shape the future of work?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I first heard about DAOs and started looking into them and started talking to folks about it, I immediately thought DAOs are cults. These are cults. And then I started thinking, maybe that's not the worst thing. And there's a really interesting thing, this podcast about crypto and cults and culture that really redefines what that means to have a passionate group of like-minded individuals who are all really invested and working towards a cause and working towards pushing that forward. Doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world to me, right? And so I started joining some DAOs, getting a sense of the space, getting a sense of what types of different DAOs there were. And that's how I came across Boys Club Crypto, which is the DAO that I'm on the core team of and co-lead our product guild, which really excited to share more about that. And what I personally experienced was really revolutionary to how I think about work. The fact that I could join an organization who I share a vision with and a passion with and get paid to do something that I love is really exciting. And more so what's exciting is the flexibility of being able to work in a DAO. So I believe that the future of work is flexible, meaning that people will be able to contribute to an organization, to a passion that they, or to something they're really passionate about in a way that makes sense to them for as long as it makes sense to them. So rather than working at a company for like multiple years where maybe you spend 30% of your time doing the stuff that you actually really like doing and are actually really good at, and 70% of the time doing stuff that someone else, is kind of making you do. A DAO allows you to really focus 100% of your energy and contribute the best of yourself and your experience to a project. That might be a week, it might be a day, it might be a year, it kind of is whatever makes sense for you and for the DAO and for the project. And the flexibility of that, I think, really revolutionizes how people think about work. And I think especially, coming from my point of view in the creator economy space and spending so much time talking to creators and understanding, especially Gen Z, like 86% of Gen Zers would be creators if they could, make a living doing it full time. It's those two things aren't too far off, right? There's the same sense of like doing something you're passionate about, having the autonomy to control what you do and when and for how long. And so I really see a world where these two spaces kind of combine and converge together into a new ethos of work where it's less about there will always be a need in industries where like full-time jobs, long-standing careers make sense, like medicine, research, et cetera. But there's also a lot of spaces, I think, in tech, in media, and in other industries where flexibility and autonomy is going to be so important and such a great opportunity to change how we think about work, to really make it fun. Everyone wants to spend their day doing things they enjoy. And I think that's something that's made possible with DAOs and with Web3.
Yeah, I love what you said. And my mom recently said something like that as well, that the airline staff was so short because everyone was just becoming, they quit the airline staff and everyone was just becoming like an influencer or working in media, or because there was just the opportunity. And also, I think if you ask Gen Z or Gen X, like what they want to become when they grow up, they would say like a YouTuber or, something creative, because I think humans in itself and their core are creative, and if we can use AI and other things to automate some of those tasks that we might not want to do, what is left? Like creativity and ideas and people who work on projects that they actually be passionate about. So I think there's so much potential that we can actually make work, like you said, more fun and more enjoyable, and actually use the skills that we have, because I feel like we have, like humans itself, they have so much potential, so much brain capacity, but we don't use it all. But if we get pushed and we're part of multiple projects that help us grow, I think that's we're going to see a lot of innovation, I think. And you mentioned Boys Club DAO, and I want to know a bit more about what has been your experience so far being part of a DAO, and also bringing like the next generation of women into the Web3 space. Like I heard you launching a product incubator.
Yeah, so Boys Club is a almost DAO. We are currently in the process of officially DAOifying our community. We started off as a community purely focused on welcoming women into the Web3 space and creating what we call a no-bro zone for the crypto curious. The organization was originally founded in late last year. We have been so fortunate to welcome some of the most incredible human beings I have ever had the pleasure of meeting into the space, into our community, and really cultivating a great vibe. Just a really great vibe. And so now we're starting to think bigger. We're starting to think about, hey, we have this community of brilliant thinkers and builders and creatives. Where do we go from here? And so one of the things that we're starting to really invest in is how can we empower members of our community to take their ideas and help shape them and help them turn them into real companies and real products. So one of the things that I launched was our startup incubator from inside of Boys Club, where we have members of the product guild who are engineers, designers, marketers, true like experts, folks who have been doing this for like a decade, who have come together to spend their time working with members of the community who have great ideas and are super passionate about something in the Web3 space, but have no idea where to start. And so we are in the midst of working with a couple of different companies at various stages in their development process, shape their ideas, figure out how to do customer development, with potential revenue models, helping them understand different paths to finding engineers and various resources, how to pitch. We just launched a pitch workshop called High Pitched, where we have bi-weekly kind of an open forum for anyone who's thinking about an idea, building something, to come share their idea, practice their pitch, get feedback, and really advancing our mission of making Boys Club a place for builders, for people who are shaping the vision of Web3. And that's been an incredible experience to be a part of something where I feel really welcome. Like you join a community, you join a Discord, doesn't always hit, sometimes you're just like, I don't know what's going on here. This is weird, or everyone's just kind of trolling, or it's just like content that's not that interesting to me. And so there is, I think, something that people in DAO should talk about more is contributor community fit, right? Like, are the folks who are who are contributing, like, are they the right members that are part of the community? And I feel like a very strong fit inside of Boys Club, and that really creates this sense of like ownership and passion and autonomy, like we talked about before, for me to bring what I want to do with my co-lead Anna, who's such an incredible human being as well. Shout out to Anna, to work in a space and do something that I feel passionate about. And so it's just been a wonderful experience so far, and I can't wait to keep going and see what else we can bring into the world.
Amazing. Yeah, like you said, it's different when you work with people who actually align with your incentives and who actually, want to do something great. So I like what you said about there has to be talk more about DAO fits, and because right now I think we're in the DAO stage where there's just a lot of finding and trying around, and everyone is kind of like still all over the place. But I think in a year or two from now, we're going to see like the DAOs that stick around, the DAOs that have great leadership and teams. And yeah, I'm excited for these times. And what are some of your personal challenges, like coming into the Web3 space and in maybe crypto or Web3 communities in general? Because I know I had my beginner struggles. So I'm wondering, what is your thoughts on that?
I think one of the biggest challenges in working in Web3 and in DAOs, on the one hand, there's the beauty of the flexibility and the autonomy. On the other hand, I think if you talk to anyone who's doing working in DAOs, everyone's working like 16 jobs. And so once you're, when you're excited about a project and you really want to be a part of it, you want to just say yes to everything. You want to do everything. I at least want to do everything. And then I kind of get to the write all of my projects down and look at my to-do list, and I'm like, oh no, I've made a terrible mistake. And so I think, it's definitely a skill that I'm practicing in terms of prioritization, being really mindful about where I can spend my time, how I can have the most impact to the missions and the communities that I care most about, and what I need to say yes to and what I need to, say no to or say later to. So that's one challenge that I faced as, kind of taking advantage of the benefits of working in DAOs. And I think another challenge is a lot of oftentimes feeling like a noob, right? Feeling a lack of, I think maybe this is a female thing, maybe this is an everyone thing, but feeling that lack of confidence of like, do I really know what I'm talking about? And you talk to other people who have been in the space for like 10 years and I'm like, I have no idea. Like I've just been watching YouTube for like, like a few weeks, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. And so having something that I've been that I find really helpful to help me solidify my knowledge and feel more confident is to teach and to explain it back to people. And it makes me really sit down and crystallize my thoughts and make sure that everything makes sense in my head, so that when I explain it back to people, I feel confident that not only am I telling them like accurate information, but it's like clicking to me and it's resonating for me. And so those are two challenges that I've faced, and how I've tried to, I'm working on overcoming them.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to say I think this is a common like imposter syndrome in Web3 that we all have. Like I know when I jump on Twitter Spaces or Discord calls, I sometimes want to say something, but I hold my voice, or, you have so many technical people in the room and their level of blockchain is here, but you're somewhere here. But still, you might have a great insight on the product or on the community. So I think it's, especially for women, we always want to make sure that we read everything, that we are prepared. So I want to encourage all the women out there to just learn, take your time, and also don't be afraid to speak up. Even if you make a mistake, you're still trying and you're still out there. And so I think that is, we all face these challenges. And I'm wondering,
I would love to share a piece of advice actually, like on that. So what I would say is, while you might not have the most experience in blockchain or crypto, whatever, you have incredible experience in whatever it is that you are an expert in. And the unique opportunity is the confluence of those two things and the perspective that you can bring, marrying whatever it is that you do feel, your expertise lies in, with whatever amount of knowledge that you have in the Web3 space. Bringing those together is really what's needed in Web3 right now. Like, if you're an incredible marketer, apply that lens to the little bit that you know about Web3, and we will shift the industry forward. Same with design, same with product, same with engineering. Like, it's people bringing their backgrounds and applying that, in the lens of Web3, regardless of how much or how little they know, is what drives innovation and creates like really amazing new ideas.
Exactly. And sometimes you have protocols or engineers or founders who sit in their Eiffel Tower of knowledge, but they actually need the feedback. They need the community to reflect and to also, bring maybe an interesting point. So don't be afraid to speak up and to try and to be curious and learn more about what is actually going on. I saw you launched an NFT fundraiser project, Boba Brave, and I want to know more about how that went and what was the initiative with that?
Absolutely. So back in February, when the Ukraine invasion by Russia first started, I was feeling, particularly helpless. I wanted to help. I didn't know how. A colleague of mine at Google posted in our group saying, hey, I want to launch a fundraiser. I'm looking for help. Does anyone want to help? And so I immediately said, absolutely, I want to help. And so I connected with a couple of folks, one of whom is a Russian and Ukrainian content creator who has family who is in the area, as well as a couple of designers and engineers from various tech companies. And we all got together and said, you know what, let's do something good. So we decided to build a 10,000, 10K PFP collection that we called Boba Brave, that was inspired by these incredible acts of bravery that babushkas, or babusias, which means grandmother in Russian and Ukrainian, were displaying. There was amazing photos and stories about older women protesting, silent protesting, even wearing colors of the Ukrainian flag could send you to jail. And so we were so inspired by hearing these stories that we designed this NFT collection around, and we built a complete end-to-end generative collection in 2.5 weeks, from conception to launch. I don't know, I've never heard of anyone, building something at this scale so fast. We made a lot of really interesting decisions to optimize for distribution, for speed, for ease of access. We weren't trying to build some like giant, community. We weren't trying to make a lasting thing. We were like, hey, people need help now. This is an immediate crisis. Let's make something that's accessible and as easy to purchase as possible to just start getting the word out there and start raising money. And within the first 2 weeks of launch, we raised almost $25,000 and immediately donated that to the Unchained Fund, which is an organization of folks who are contributing to humanitarian aid in Ukraine. And so that was the first NFT project that I had ever worked on and ever built. And I'm so glad that that was the first one, that doing something for a cause that I think all of us were very passionate about and really wanted to help. It felt like a very empowering way to use what I had to offer, to this world for good and to help other people. And so you can, the collection is still minting. We have not minted out. It's at bobabrave.com. When we originally launched, we used Polygon for lowest gas fees. We were charging the equivalent of $25. Matic has now decreased. I think you could buy one for like, $10 or something like that. So highly recommend. 100% of the proceeds go to this organization. We did this on a complete volunteer basis. And also we shout out to partners at paper.xyz, which is the fiat on-ramp credit card provider that for free worked with us to integrate into the product to help power this service. So check it out if you're looking for a way to continue to support the conflict that's going on there.
Wow, what an amazing project. We're gonna link the link to the project down below, and please feel free to check it out. And yeah, I really think that this story, like what you just explained, is another way people can come together in Web3 and do something. Like, you might sit at home during COVID or during these times and think you're helpless, but you can actually, either by helping these NFT projects or by being part of like a DAO that is doing a social cause, you can actually, make a change and bring your knowledge and value to the world. I think it's really incredible that you did that. And yeah, speaking on these kind of things, like what matters for you the most? Like, I know you're part of the cohort, like bringing women into the Web3 space, but I want to know, like, in the future and also now, like what matters to you the most, like bringing to the Web3 space?
I think there's two things that I think the Web3 space needs. The first and foremost is more diversity, more diverse opinions, diverse backgrounds, diverse genders, ethnicities, nationalities. I think there's been one way of thinking that's prevailed throughout the last several years of Web3. And it's gotten us really far, and that's great. But there's so much further to go. And I do think we've reached a little bit of what I would call a local maximum with the current way of thinking and focus areas and backgrounds of folks in the space. And the fastest way to break through that barrier and to reach new heights is by bringing different points of views and different backgrounds. And so not just on the individual level, but I think also Web3 really needs more product designers and product managers, people who really understand how to shape consumer products and how to build delightful, usable, functional experiences that can bring Web3 to the next generation, to really cross the chasm and create products that are the everyday person can use, not just folks who are really invested in wanting to join the space. Like, I remember the first time that I tried to transfer an NFT on Polygon into my Ethereum wallet and had to figure out how to bridge. And I don't even know what I did. It took me 3 hours. I built an NFT project and I couldn't figure out how to transfer it from one place to the other. It is so difficult to use right now. And the engineering is great. The technical, talent is incredible in the space. It's really that user experience, that finesse that I think Web3 needs. And so I'm excited as a product person to be, bringing my vantage point and my point of view into the space, and kind of going back to what I said before about being, having that imposter syndrome. Like, no, it really is your unique perspective of what you're bringing that can help advance those experiences and those initiatives in Web3. So I would love to see more product thinking and more excellent consumer experiences.
Yes, I think there's gonna come like a wave of really great projects out in the next years. I don't know, I just have a feeling that we're going through this bear market and buggy phase right now, but I think that so much like creators, especially fashion designers, artists, like people I interview, they haven't really been onboarded to crypto yet, or we haven't really seen the full potential yet for the everyday creator, for the everyday person somewhere around the world. And so I'm excited to witness it. And thank you so much, Sam, for taking the time with us today and really sharing your knowledge and wisdom. I think this is so good for the community to hear and to see a woman strive in the Web3 space and do great things. So I'm wondering, where can they find you on your social platforms before we wrap up?
Yes, absolutely. You can find me on Twitter at Sam J. Stevens, or on LinkedIn, I guess, if we're still doing that.
Yes, like still there, we're still doing that. Good. We're gonna link everything down below, as well as the NFT project, all the social links. So thank you guys so much for being part of today's forum. And if you also want to get more involved with what we are doing, make sure to follow us on IG and Twitter. We are NewForum_NCO and also NewCoin. And yeah, we also have a Discord, and the link and everything will be down below. We always love to have new community members and chat about the Web3 space and how we can make it better and brighter. So thank you, Sam, again so much for being such a insightful person today with me. And yeah, I see you in the next episode.